The Long Road by Wolfland. The ground shook as two flashes of light solidified into the final pair of combatants. Both unleashed a mighty roar as they caught sight of the opponent. A wave of psychic energy pulsed from Metagross with such strength that Steven nearly had to take a step back to steady himself. It bristled with prideful hostility. "That's it. He's the one, Metagross," Steven murmured. An echoing growl emanated from the steel Pokemon as it readied itself for the rematch it had been anticipating since it was a mere Beldum. Across the battlefield, Golem flexed its claws with a snort and bent its stubby legs in preparation for the first attack, which Roxanne seized with gusto. "Golem, start this off with an earthquake! Full power!" Steven's expression shifted to a half smirk. "We're ready this time. Metagross, avoid that attack." With a hum, Metagross's legs lifted from the quaking arena floor, and it deftly skirted above the slags of jagged earth that jutted sharply from the ground. "Get in close and hit it with a bullet punch!" In a strong push of its magnetic powers, Metagross rushed to Golem's position with a leg raised to strike. As it drew near, Roxanne punched a fist in the air. "Counter with a fire punch!" Golem's fist heated to a molten glow, and in a fiery clash, both attacks collided in stalemate. As both Pokemon remained locked together, they struggled back and forth in an effort to gain the upper hand. Creaking and groaning, Metagross strained against Golem's punch. Slowly, the rock Pokemon was being pushed backward, but the heat from the fire-type attack was seeping into Metagross's steel hide, and it had to draw back in obvious discomfort. Watching as Metagross stumbled backward, waggling its overheated leg, Roxanne called out her next move. "Golem, trip it up with Rock Tomb, then go for another fire punch!" Massive boulders began to form overhead as Golem concentrated its power, and Metagross took a hesitant step backward as it glanced towards the sky. However, Steven's voice was anything but worried as he reassured his partner. "Don't worry about dodging this one. Weather the attack, and wait for my command." Metagross's stance shifted at Steven's conviction, and all four legs planted firmly on the ground as it hunkered low beneath the rain of boulders. As the dust began to settle around the boulders that encircled its opponent, Golem readied its next attack, fist glowing red-hot once more. It only managed one step towards the pile before Steven's voice rang out. "Break through, Metagross! Meteor Mash!" In a brilliant explosion of debris, Metagross shot out of the tomb, foreleg poised to smash into the unsuspecting Golem. Roxanne barely had time to shriek, "Protect!" before Metagross made contact. Golem's blue barrier flew into place, just as Metagross's leg found its target. Roxanne ducked from the impact's shockwave as Golem was driven backward under the raw power of Metagross's blow. Cracks were beginning to splinter across the Protect's barrier, and she covered her mouth to stifle a surprised gasp. Eyes wide, she briefly caught sight of Steven, standing poised in the challenger's box. His eyes were sharp, and his formidable gaze was locked onto the two embattled Pokemon. She had to repress the urge to shiver as he spoke his next command in an even, calm tone. Again. Without hesitation, Metagross's other leg shot forward and smashed straight through Golem's barrier. The follow-through of the vicious attack sent Golem's body barreling past the stunned gym leader's box before it smashed into the rear wall of the gym, unconscious. Silence settled across the arena as Metagross slowly lowered its outstretched leg in finality. Roxanne could only feel the rattle of its victorious cry over the sound of her heart pounding in her ears. She and Golem had never been so soundly defeated in all her years of battling. While the first two rounds of the battle were impressive, this was Steven's true display of power. Taking a deep breath to steady her shaking hand, she recalled Golem to its ball and walked towards the battlefield, where Steven had already made his way to Metagross's side. All signs of the fearsome trainer from only a minute ago had vanished, and he was laughing quietly as he gave his partner's brow an affectionate rub. As she drew close, both Steven and Metagross looked up in acknowledgement. Roxanne stood tall and smiled as she delivered her official declaration of defeat. "I'm impressed, Challenger. It's obvious that your team fully trusts your judgment in battle, and it shows in the way you work together with your Pokémon. That was a far cry from our first match all those years ago. You and Metagross have really grown." Roxanne offered an outstretched hand, and this time there was no hesitation as Steven returned the gesture. She smiled as she continued, "I think the difference in our power is fairly clear. You chose to battle with a team type similarly to mine as a personal challenge. If you had gone with your preferred type, I doubt I would have even seen your second Pokémon." Metagross huffed an affirmative over his shoulder, and Steven shot his partner a look. "I think what Metagross was trying to say was thank you for your kind words." He bowed slightly. "Although I feel you may be overestimating our abilities and underestimating your own." Planting her hands on her hips, Roxanne giggled as she dropped her official tone. "Always the gentleman, Steven. If I didn't think it might actually kill you, I'd say it's okay to be cocky if you're this strong." Metagross grated out laughter of its own, enjoying the joke at its trainer's expense. Steven sighed and returned the still chuckling Pokemon to its ball. He froze as he moved to put the Pokeball back on his belt. Roxanne had stopped giggling and was watching him intently. "Yes?" Roxanne smirked as she looked him over. "You should battle in a suit more often." Steven faltered as he felt a bit of heat creep into his cheeks. Roxanne's comment caught him off guard. After the battle had started, he'd completely forgotten his earlier qualms about his current wardrobe. "Really?" "I'm serious. It gives you quite the presence in the trainer's box." She pondered for a moment. "It makes you look more intimidating." "Roxanne, I can't travel around the region in this," he said incredulously. "This was a one-time thing, since I came right from my father's meeting." Roxanne's smile didn't fade at his excuses. "Steven, you won't have to worry about all that once you become the next champion." At her bold statement, whatever Steven had planned to say died on his lips. Pausing to glance at Roxanne with a puzzled look, he asked, "What makes you so sure I'll become champion?" She gave him a knowing smile. "I just have a feeling. I meant what I said, though. You look good. Give it some thought next time." Steven sheepishly ran a hand through his hair. "I can't make any promises, but I'll consider it." "Good enough for me," she chimed. "And show your face around here once in a while. It'll be a good reputation boost for our school," she said with a wink. "Rustboro will be first on my list for the victory tour." Roxanne smiled as she handed him the shining stone badge. "Good luck at the Pokemon League, Steven. Although, if today's battle was any indication, you won't need much." Earning all 8 gym badges is the goal of any trainer that wants to become champion. However, collecting all your badges is only the first step to challenging the Pokemon League, so be sure your team is up to the task.